Okay, hello everybody. I'm Diego. This is gonna be my first video on this channel. So let's go. Hold on, let me take off these headphones. So basically, this happened a while ago and it takes place at my local library. I still live in the same city, so I'm not gonna say which library it is. And I'm not gonna drop any names or current relationships I have with these people that are mentioned in this story. So basically, this starts off a couple years ago, and I was seeing this girl at the time, and there's this program in our school. I'm not going to say the name of the program because I think my school might be the only one that has it. But there's this program, honors program, whatever. You get to graduate in white if you do a bunch of volunteer hours or whatever. And I was like, cool, that sounds cool, right? I personally didn't do it, but this girl I was talking to, or this girl I was talking to still wanted to do it, and she applied to volunteer at our local library, right? And I was like, okay, cool. And she asked me to walk her there because she didn't want to walk there alone. And her mom was cool with me walking her. She was like, oh, it's better because, it's not the safest town and there's a lot of weirdos in our town. So I'll probably drop some more stories about that later on. But yeah, I walk her to the library like every day. And I'm not gonna lie, with even our first time being in the library, I get this like weird feeling about the dude who's in charge, right? Because the dude who's in charge is this like big like military or veteran, he's a veteran. And something about this guy just gives me the wrong feeling every time. Every time I cannot shake this feeling every time I meet him. Ever since I first saw him, he's giving me the wrong feeling, right? And naturally I tell her, right, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to sound weird, but there's something off about this guy, and I just want to make sure I'm not noticing it too, right? And she's like, no, I think he's fine. And I'm like, okay, right? So later on, this is the first day, by the way, I tell her all that, and we go back to her place, right? I walk her home, and she invites me to have dinner with her family, right? And I'm sitting down at the table, and then her mom's asking how it was, and her mom also asked me how it was for me because I would just sit there in the library, right? I'm not gonna lie, I would low-key stalk this dude because something about this guy, every fiber of my being was telling me something was off about this guy, right? And I told her, I was like, oh no, I just think that, I was like, it was okay. I just sat there on my phone and like, checked up every once in a while. And then I started telling her about the guy, right? And her mom is like very, I don't know, feminist, or I don't even think that's the right word, but she just thinks that a lot of men, whenever you like say that you don't like a guy, that's just a lot of insecurity, right? And I just told her that, and all of a sudden she started saying that I'm like super insecure and that I'm some like macho Mexican and all this stuff, right? And she's like saying that I'm like, I can't be controlling and that I can't control other people, right? And I was like, I'm not controlling. I'm not saying that she shouldn't go to the library, but I'm just saying I have this weird feeling about the guy who runs the thing, right? And I'm like trying to back off. I'm not trying to like, do anything wrong. I was just letting her know. I'm like, yeah, I just got a weird feeling. Like, hey, I guess that's on me for being insecure and some like macho Mexican or whatever. And yeah, they both just end up laughing in my face, right? And this actually kind of made me feel upset, but they both like laughed in my face and were saying that I'm insecure and whatever, right? So this carries on for like a couple months, right? Or like, yeah, like 1 or 2 months where I just sit in the library and I just watch the dude like every once in a while. Or like I leave to go skate in the parking lot of the library, and then I'd come back in and I'd just like take a quick glance around about everything that's happening, just to make sure everything's okay. Because, personally, when I am with somebody, or like if that was my sibling or like a distant family member or something, or even just a stranger, I wouldn't want them to be in a position where they're surrounded by some like weirdo constantly, right? You want to check up on that person, or at least that's just me. Okay, maybe that's just me. And basically, I walk in, and nothing seems different, right? Everything continues on to be the same, and eventually they just bring it up from time to time, her and her mom, and they just laugh at me and whatever, thinking I'm some like insecure dude. And fast forward, this was like around the time when her volunteer hours were meant to be up, right? And the guy sends her a message and he tells her to pull up, right? He tells her to come over at the library, at 7 in the morning, right? And this happened during a holiday. Right? So this library isn't meant to open for like until 12, or I'm not even sure if it was meant to open that day, right? Since it's a holiday. And this guy's like, okay, just come. He's like, come early at 7 and I'll open up the door for you. And he's like, I want to discuss something with you, right? And I'm reading the messages, right? And I'm like, okay, this is weird as hell, right? And I tell her that we should not go because I'm like, this library is closed. It's closed, right? You don't know, like, who's gonna be here, right? It's a national holiday. Anything to do with my city is closed, right? And I tell her, and I'm like, we should not go. And then she's like, don't tell me, tell my mom, right? So I tell her mom, right? And I'm like, I got a bad feeling about this, and I'm like, I'm just letting you know right now that she shouldn't go, right? And this does sound controlling on my part, but trust me, I'm just looking out for a person. If this was my sibling, my little cousin, anybody in my family, I'd want somebody to do the same and look out for them. And I guess she, like, her mom, I feel like she thought that I was trying to be controlling, so she took it out of, like, she did it out of spite, and she told her to go. And she's like, even if Diego doesn't want you to go, just go. Or like, even if I can't walk her that day, then she should just go by herself, right? And I'm like, oh my god, right? Like, I'm not trying to argue with you, but yeah, she ends up telling her to go, and I like cancel plans, and I'm like, okay, I'm walking her today, this morning, right? So I get up extra early, I make my way to her house, and we're walking to the library, right? And it's a normal walk, and we stop by because there's this white cat, and white animals are good luck, right? That sounds not racially or anything, right? But it's good luck. So we started playing with this little white cat, and then we head back on the road on the library, and when we make it there, this parking lot is empty, right? There's like maybe like 3 or 4 cars, but that could be the people who work in the city, because the civic center is right next to the library, at least in my city, okay? And there's like no cars over here. You can't even see nobody in the library, right? And we're like, and I'm telling her, I'm like, this is a bad idea, right? But I see the dude's truck. He drives a truck like with a big military sticker on the back, right? So I take a picture of his license plate and I send it to her mom, and I'm like, if we don't respond in 2 hours, I'm like, please just contact the police, right? And her mom's like, okay, like, she was brushing me off and whatever. So we start making our way in, and we pull up to the front door, and the dude, he looks me in the eye, and he's like, hey, what's good? He's like, I'm gonna have you wait outside. You didn't sign a permission slip that says you're allowed to come in here, right? Because apparently you're supposed to sign a permission slip in order to go into the library when it's on a closed day or whatever, right? Or to go into the back. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I look at him, right? And I'm like, dude, no, right? I straight up tell him, I'm like, no, right? I'm like, if she's going in there, she's not going in there alone, right? And this dude's just like, well, you didn't sign a permission slip, right? And I just start going back and forth with the dude, right? And I'm like, dude, this is weird. I'm like, dude, I was like, look outside, literally look outside. There's not a single car in the place, and me and this dude are just going back and forth. And he's like, no, well, there's nothing we can do. Like, she needs to come into the back with me so we can discuss something important. And I'm like, what are you guys gonna talk about? And he doesn't want to tell me what they're going to talk about. And I'm like, dude, then no. And then it just turns into this big argument, and then eventually security comes over, and they have to like kick me off, right? They're like, oh no, you gotta leave. And he's like, what's the problem? He's like, you can't be yelling, you gotta leave and whatever, right? And I'm like, oh my god. And I want to argue with him, and I want to tell the security everything, but I'm like, you know what, I'm already tired, and I'm like, let's just get out of here, right? So we start walking away from the library, and the dude starts following us, right? Following me and the girl. And he's like, he starts like saying her name, and he's like, oh, come back over here and whatever. He's like, it's fine, I'm not trying to do anything weird. And the security, like, he just walked off, right? As soon as he saw me walking away, he just walked away, right? And this dude, he trailed us for a bit, just a couple steps, and he just kept on trying to say that he wasn't trying to do anything weird, and he needs to talk to her in the back. And I was like, dude, no. And we both just walk back home, and we're like, okay, then yeah, right. And then she tells, then her mom hears this whole entire story, and then she apologizes to me, and she's like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, and whatever. Or like, she tries to apologize, and her brother understood it, right? She told her brother, and her brother was like, oh, thanks for looking out for my sister. And I was like, yes, bro, like, no problem. But yeah, and it was just like this whole thing, and now I don't even step foot into that library no more, because the dude might have it out for me. He might just come and slam me out. But yeah, That dude's a weirdo, and if you're watching this, bro, just know, bro. Just know. I have my eye open for you, man. Okay. Thanks. Bye.